The light from the shattered chamber faded slowly, like a dying star refusing to give up its last breath. Elara stumbled forward, boots scraping against a floor that didn't seem entirely solid, half metal, half memory. The entire space around her rippled like liquid glass, each distortion revealing a new version of the same room. One pristine, one ruined, one completely consumed by an alien forest she'd never seen. Her heart pounded. This place, it's alive. A whisper slithered through the air, not in words, but in sensations, the cold burn of starlight, the sting of ancient sorrow, the hum of a civilization long dead. It was the Forge speaking. Or remembering. As Elara moved deeper, glowing strands of energy drifted toward her, reacting to the sigils carved into her skin. Each strand touched her like a curious creature trying to understand what she had become. The markings pulsed in response, and with every pulse, the chamber shifted. Suddenly the walls around her snapped from shimmering glass to angular dark metal, etched with spiraling glyphs that pulsed like heartbeats. The floor rumbled. Drifting shapes, part hologram and part ghost, formed ahead, figures tall and thin, with eyes like molten silver. They stared at her with an expression she didn't expect. Recognition. The tallest figure stepped forward, its outline flickering. "You return," it spoke, not aloud, but directly inside her skull. Elara froze. "I've never been here," she said aloud, voice echoing unnaturally in the shifting chamber. "Not in this life," the figure replied. The others nodded, their bodies dissolving into streams of blue dust that circled her like a gentle storm. And then the memories hit. A flash, Elara standing in the same chamber, but not as herself. She wore armor made of woven starlight, her eyes glowing like twin suns. She commanded the chamber with a gesture, and entire planets appeared as floating projections around her. The Sky Serpent bowed before her, not as an enemy, but as a guardian. Elara gasped, stumbling backward. The vision vanished. "No," she whispered. "That wasn't me." "It was you," the remaining figure said solemnly. "Before your fall. Before the seal." Elara shook her head violently. "I'm human. I'm not, whatever that was." The figure reached out. "You are both. And neither. The serpent awakens because you awakened. The balance fractures because you broke the seal." Before she could respond, the chamber trembled violently. Cracks of red energy tore through the walls, and a bone-deep roar shook the entire dimension. The Sky Serpent forced its way through a tear in space overhead, its massive body coiling like a cosmic river of living fire. But this time, it didn't attack. It hovered, observing her. Expecting her. "Elara," the figure whispered urgently. "You must choose. Fight the serpent, and break the last of the seal forever, or command it, as you once did." Her heart pounded. The serpent lowered its head, eyes glowing like twin galaxies, waiting for her decision. The chamber's walls folded inward, fracturing reality itself. The holographs flickered violently. The energy storm built into a vortex around her. Elara stepped forward, hand trembling, eyes burning gold, sword of starlight forming in her palm. As the Sky Serpent roared so loud it shook the memory of the chamber itself. And then everything went white. The white light didn't fade, it shattered. It cracked around Elara like a shell breaking open, exploding into drifting shards of brilliance that floated through the air like dying stars. She gasped, stumbling as the overwhelming brightness slowly dimmed and the chamber reformed beneath her feet, solidifying into something new. She was no longer inside the memory chamber. She stood on a vast bridge of obsidian metal suspended over an infinite void. Beneath her, galaxies spiraled in slow motion, their light stretching into rivers of gold and violet. The bridge extended into darkness on both sides, endless, ancient, impossible. Behind her, the Sky Serpent emerged from the fading brilliance, its colossal coils stretching across the bridge like a living storm. Its breath rolled over her in hot, pulsing waves, each exhale carrying the scent of ozone and distant stars. "Elara," the voice echoed. "Not from the serpent. From everywhere." Her grip tightened on the shimmering blade forming in her hand. The starlight sword hummed like a heartbeat, reacting to her uncertainty. "Show me," she said quietly. "Everything." The space in front of her rippled. A towering figure stepped forward, taller than any human, almost skeletal in its elegance, made of obsidian armor and burning constellations. Its eyes were star clusters held together by gravity and malice. The same figure from earlier visions, but whole, solid, terrifying. The Keeper of the Seal. "You were not meant to return," it said, voice like the grinding of worlds colliding. "Your power is incomplete. Your transformation, premature. Your presence destabilizes what remains of the seal." Elara took a shaky breath. "You keep talking about this seal. What is it?" The Keeper raised a hand. The void warped. A colossal projection appeared, a map of reality, carved with glowing fractures. "The seal binds the serpent. It binds you. It binds all who once wielded the forge." A pulse of light revealed cracks spiderwebbing across the seal. "You have broken the first two. And when the third breaks—" The projection began to collapse inward, galaxies ripping apart. "Everything ends." The sword in her hand flared, reacting to her growing anger. "Why didn't you stop me?" Elara shouted over the rising hum of cosmic tension. The Keeper's expression did not change. "You were sealed away by your own kind. They feared what you would become." Elara felt her stomach sink. "So this power wasn't meant for me?" "It was made for you," the Keeper corrected. "But you were not meant to remember." Behind her, the sky serpent released a soft rumble, a sound almost sorrowful. Elara stepped closer to the Keeper. "Then tell me, what was I before all this?" The Keeper tilted its head. "You were the only one the serpent would obey. You were its master, its last queen." Her heartbeat thundered. Her vision swam. The serpent bowed again. Elara backed away, chest tightening as memories she didn't want, couldn't accept, pressed against the inside of her skull. "No," she whispered. "I'm human. I bleed. I break. I'm not." "You are not human alone," the Keeper cut in sharply. "You are an echo of what was lost. And now you must choose." The bridge shook violently. Cracks of red energy split through the void. The seal was breaking. The Keeper raised its hand. The serpent roared in answer. "Elara," the Keeper intoned, "command the serpent and restore the seal, or fight it and embrace the power meant to end all things." The world trembled. Her starlight sword burned white-hot. The serpent lowered itself, waiting for her voice. The Keeper extended its arm, daring her to attack. Sweat dripped down her face. Her pulse slammed like thunder. The universe swayed around her. Elara lifted her sword. Caught between two choices: save the universe, or become its greatest threat. The bridge began to collapse beneath her feet as she finally opened her mouth to choose. And then the void exploded in blinding crimson light. The crimson blast hit like a tidal wave of burning metal, slamming into Elara with enough force to tear galaxies apart. She skidded across the obsidian bridge, sparks flying from her heels as she dug her fingers into the trembling surface just to stop herself from being thrown into the infinite void below. Her breath ripped from her lungs, every atom of her body screamed. When the light finally thinned, a thunderous silence fell. The Keeper was gone. The sky serpent recoiled, coils twisting violently in the air as if struck by something older and stronger than itself. Its scales flickered from blue to a furious blood red. Elara forced herself to rise, clutching her glowing starlight sword for balance. What was that?" she gasped. A ripple of black lightning danced across the void in answer, illuminating a towering silhouette emerging from the darkness. It stepped onto the bridge, each heavy footstep cracking the obsidian beneath. This was no hologram, no memory, no echo. Something ancient had awakened. The figure stood nearly 4 meters tall, wrapped in armor of living shadow, veins pulsing with molten orange light like magma under the skin. Its face was hidden behind a helm carved like a screaming star. With each breath it took, the void itself seemed to distort and bend inward. The serpent hissed, shrinking back, afraid. Elara felt her own powers flicker. The sigils on her arms dimmed. Her sword faltered for the first time. The figure finally spoke, its voice a deep vibration that made the stars tremble. "The seal is nearly broken." Elara flinched at the sound. Who are you?" The figure leaned forward slightly. "The one they sealed after you." Her entire body went cold. He continued, voice echoing like a collapsing star. They feared your power, but they feared mine more. So they bound you with the serpent, and they buried me in the dark between realities. And now, thanks to you, the binding's rot. Elara's pulse hammered. I didn't break anything on purpose. You don't need intent, he interrupted. You are the spark. I am the fire. The serpent howled, lashing toward him with a bolt of cosmic flame. But the figure caught the flame in one hand, held it, crushed it, let the ashes fall into the void. Elara stumbled back, horrified. Nobody should have that kind of power. The figure took one heavy step toward her, the bridge shattering beneath his heel. You had it first. The words sliced into her mind like knives. Memories she'd tried to suppress surged violently. Herself in ancient armor, the serpent kneeling, galaxies reshaping at her command. No, she shook her head violently. That wasn't me. That was you, the figure said calmly. And now it will be again. The seal cannot contain us anymore. When it breaks, I walk free. And you. He pointed a molten finger at her chest. The sigils burned painfully. You will remember everything they stole. The void shook so violently the bridge began breaking apart in long jagged fractures. The serpent reared up, its entire body glowing gold, protecting Elara with its massive coils. For the first time, she sensed fear in its mind. Not fear of the figure. Fear of what Elara might become. Elara! The serpent's voice echoed inside her mind, shaking, desperate, trembling. Run! But it was too late. The figure raised an arm. A sphere of condensed crimson energy formed in his palm, the same blast that had erased the Keeper. You were my equal once, he whispered. Let us see what remains of you now. He hurled the sphere. The serpent lunged in front of her. The explosion tore through reality. Light consumed everything. Elara screamed. As the bridge collapsed, the serpent fell into the void, and she was hurled into a vortex of memories, screams, starlight, and darkness, hurtling toward a past she never wanted to remember, and a future she can no longer escape. Elara's scream stretched into eternity as she spun through the vortex. But before sound could even escape her throat, the world snapped. Everything froze. Her body stopped falling. Her breath stopped trembling. Even the stream of fragments, memories, stars, shadows, halted in place like someone had pressed pause on reality itself. A whisper echoed. Do not fear what you were. The darkness cracked. A blinding gold light poured through the fractures, burning away the void and reshaping it into something vast, ancient, and terrifyingly beautiful. Elara found herself standing on a colossal plateau of white stone that shimmered like crystal under a million suns. Above her, the sky swirled in spirals of light, pink, gold, and violet, like an aurora made of pure energy. Towers of carved starlight rose around her, each inscribed with sigils identical to the ones etched into her skin. This was not a memory chamber. This was real. This was home. Elara, a voice called gently. She turned and froze. A woman stood before her. Tall, elegant, glowing like a living star. Her hair flowed in radiant strands of silver-gold light, and her eyes blazed with the same fierce brilliance Elara had seen in her own reflection only moments before battle. Her face, her posture, her aura. Elara understood before she could deny it. Why, you're me, she whispered. The woman smiled softly. No. You are me, reborn. The last spark of what I once was. Elara stepped backward, shaking her head. I'm human. I grew up human. I lived a human life. You were placed in one, the First Light Queen replied calmly. Hidden. Protected. Forgotten. Elara swallowed hard. Why? Why hide me? The Queen raised her hands. The sky changed instantly. A war unfolded above them. Cosmic fleets shattering, titans battling across stars, the sky serpent ripping through armies like cloth. And there, at the center, Elara saw the figure from before. The Dark One. The Sealed One. The one who had just awoken. He tore through everything. Unstoppable. Uncontainable. He destroyed our world, the Queen whispered. He consumed our suns and broke our skies. You and I were the only ones he could not overcome. Elara's heart hammered painfully. So we sealed him, the Queen said. At the cost of everything we were. The war dissolved. The serene plateau returned. Elara clenched her fists. So the seal wasn't just to contain him, it was to contain my powers too. The Queen stepped closer. Our power is creation itself. Light that bends, heals, destroys, reshapes. Power feared by every species that witnessed it. Power that could unmake the dark. And now it's waking up in me, Elara whispered. Yes. The sigils on her arms glowed bright gold, burning through her sleeves. Her chest tightened. What happens if I unlock the rest of it? She asked quietly. The Queen's eyes hardened, not unkind, but with undeniable truth. You stop being Elara. Silence fell like a blade. And if I don't, then the Dark One rises unchecked. The serpent dies. The seal breaks. And everything collapses. Elara stared down at her hands. Her trembling human fingers. Her glowing inhuman power. I didn't ask for this, she whispered bitterly. None of us ever did, the Queen replied. A tremor shook the ground. A crack split the sky. The vision, the plateau, began flickering. The Queen's form destabilized, fading in and out of reality. Elara, listen to me, he is coming for you. He wants you to remember who you were so he can twist you, control you, remake you into what he needs. Elara's breath hitched. What do I do? Hold on to the one thing I never had, the Queen said softly, cupping Elara's face in shimmering hands. A choice. The plateau shattered. Light exploded. And Elara's consciousness was ripped back into her body. She gasped awake in a collapsing starfield, lungs burning, heart pounding, tears streaking her face as the remnants of her former self dissolved around her. The last voice of the Queen echoed faintly. Choose not who you were, but who you will become. And then everything erupted into blackness. Elara's body slammed back into reality like she'd been dropped from the edge of a star. Her lungs seized. Her vision flashed white. And she collapsed onto cold metal flooring, gasping as if she'd been drowning in light. The world around her was no longer the plateau of the first light. This was the real world. The ruined chamber. The fractured seal. The trembling ground. She wasn't alone. A tall figure stood only a few meters away, cloaked in black mist so dense it seemed to swallow the weak emergency lights flickering overhead. His presence was heavy enough to press on her chest, like gravity itself was bending around him. The Dark One. The one she had helped seal. The one she had once fought beside her queen self. He spoke without moving his lips. You saw her. Elara scrambled backward, her hands shaking, glowing faintly with the lingering gold of the Queen's power. The shadows around him pulsed like a heartbeat. Slow. Calm. Terrifying. You remembered. His voice wasn't a sound. It was a weight. A presence invading her mind, sliding cold fingers over her memories. Stay out of my head, she snapped, clutching her skull. He tilted his head, amused. Impossible. You opened the door yourself. Her breath stuttered. He took a slow step toward her, and every console in the room flickered violently at his approach, screens cracking from the pressure of his energy. You, Elara whispered shakily, you destroyed the first light. I ended an empire, he corrected, smooth and unhurried. It was never personal. His eyes, if the two burning voids could be called eyes, fixed on her with a strange, unsettling tenderness. But you, Elara, you were always personal. Her pulse stopped. No. No, that couldn't mean what it sounded like. I don't know you, she said, though her voice trembled with the fear that she did, somewhere deep beneath her human memories. You don't know yourself, he murmured. He raised a hand, palm open, reaching toward her not with malice, but with almost longing. I felt you awaken. The seal breaks because you broke. You can't contain what you are anymore. Elara's hands flared golden in panic, responding to her fear. His shadow recoiled slightly, not in fear, but in recognition. That light, he whispered, voice thick with something like hunger, belongs to me. Elara's eyes widened. It will never belong to you. A low, amused vibration rippled through the air. You said that once before, too. Her stomach dropped. He continued, stepping closer. You think I crave your power? Your throne? Your memories? He leaned forward, shadowed face inches from hers. No. What I want is what I lost when you sealed me. Elara swallowed. What did you lose? His answer was simple, soft, devastating. You. The floor beneath them cracked from the force of her rising panic. Don't, she whispered, shaking her head. Don't twist this. I saw what you did. You destroyed worlds. I destroyed your enemies, he interrupted sharply, shadow flaring. You refuse to remember the truth because the truth terrifies you. What truth? She shouted. He leaned even closer, his voice a whisper of darkness brushing her skin. You and I were created together. Her heart stopped. No. Two halves of the same power. Light and void. The queen and the king. Partners, until you chose to seal me. Elara's stomach twisted. No, that can't be true. He extended his hand toward her again. Come with me, Elara. You were never meant to be human. You were never meant to be small. Stop fighting what you are. Her palms glowed brighter, hotter, gold turning white. He smiled faintly. Or, continue resisting me. The room darkened with the threat. And watch the universe burn. Light crackled in her hands. Shadow coiled around his. They stood opposite one another. Two forces waking from centuries of slumber. The chamber trembling under the pressure of their energies. Elara stared into the void of his eyes and whispered, I'm not choosing you. Not now. Not ever. The floor ruptured. Light met shadow. And the world exploded. The blast ripped outward like a newborn star struggling against a collapsing black hole. Light and shadow collided, devouring each other, tearing at the chamber walls until the entire facility screamed with the sound of ripping metal. Elara flew backward, hurled like a rag doll. Her shoulder slammed into a pillar. Her breath punched out. Her vision spun into fractured white streaks. But she stayed conscious. Barely. The Dark One did not fly. He simply recoiled, shadows shredding from his form in molten ribbons as her light burned through them. For a split second, she saw his true face beneath the collapsing veil of darkness. Sharp, ancient, terrible, beautiful. A face shaped like hers. A mirror twisted by time and power. Then the shadows reformed, coiling around him like armor. The chamber floor split in two, opening into a gaping wound of glowing circuitry and broken conduits. Sparks rained from above like dying stars. Warning sirens howled across the system in mechanical agony. Elara dragged herself upright, coughing through the smoke. Her hands flickered. Weak, trembling. Her golden light staggering like a candle in a storm. The Dark One stood across the newly formed chasm, shadows rising around him like tidal waves. He watched her. Not with anger. With disappointment. Is that truly all you've regained? He asked softly, stepping forward. His voice shook dust from the walls. Elara braced herself, though every limb screamed. You won't break me, she rasped. A slow, dark smile curved across his face. I don't need to break you. You're already afraid of yourself. Something cold traveled down her spine. The chasm between them widened suddenly as the floor groaned. Flames burst from beneath the metal. The facility was collapsing fast. Elara staggered back. The Dark One didn't move even as the floor cracked under his feet. Shadows reached out and anchored him to the air itself. Remember this, Elara. His voice echoed through the trembling chamber. Light does not exist without darkness. And you. He raised his hand, and the shadows around him spiraled upward into a vortex that began absorbing the flames. Were born from both. The vortex detonated outward, flattening the room with a wave of pressure. Debris vaporized. Consoles melted. A shock wave hammered into Elara, throwing her into the sidewall so hard she felt something crack. Her vision went black for a heartbeat. 2 heartbeats. 3. When she forced her eyes open. He was gone. Only drifting embers remained, swirling in the dead silence. The emergency lights flicked weakly, once, twice, then died completely. Darkness settled around her like dust. Elara lay there, chest heaving, gasping in pain and disbelief. He left her alive. Not out of mercy. Out of certainty. Because he believed she would come to him. She pushed herself onto her knees, sweat and blood mixing on her skin, her golden light barely glowing now, just a faint ember pulsing beneath her ribs. "No," she whispered to the emptiness. "No, I won't let you rewrite what I am." But even as she said it, even as she clenched her fists, her mind betrayed her with a memory she hadn't meant to recall. A golden throne. A dark throne beside it. Two silhouettes sitting together. Her own voice whispering something soft to someone cloaked in shadows. A promise. A vow. A bond. Elara swore under her breath and slammed her fist into the ground, sparks flickering from her palm. She couldn't stay here. The facility was seconds from total collapse. Through the dust and smoke, a faint blinking blue hologram projected from the far corner, a backup evacuation beacon. She staggered toward it, limping, each step agony. The beacon spoke in a cold, robotic voice. Warning: catastrophic structural failure. Full implosion in 60 seconds. Elara wiped blood from her mouth. "Great," she muttered. "Perfect. Exactly the day I was hoping for." She secured the beacon's emergency coordinate lock. Exit shaft. Upper corridor. Surface. If she survived the climb. The chamber trembled again, louder this time, and the floor lurched downward. Elara grabbed the beacon and sprinted. Her legs shook. Her breath tore through her throat. But she ran. Because she knew one thing with absolute clarity. The Dark One was free. And now the real war was about to begin.